Welcome to Money 911, where we explore the intersection of wealth, wisdom, and well-being. I'm Kris Miller, your guide on this journey of personal and professional growth. Today, we have a special guest who's on a mission to revolutionize the way we approach success. Joining us is Tamien Dysart, the visionary behind Think 3D Solutions, dedicated to cultivating high-performance cultures and empowering individuals to reach their full potential. Get ready to embark on a transformative conversation as we uncover the secrets to building success by cultivating a better you. All right, Tamien, it's so great to have you here, and I'm excited to just jump in and get going.
Yes, thanks for having me, Kris.
Absolutely. You know, your work focuses on empowering individuals, organizations through an intentional personal and skill development. So
Yes.
it's pretty cool. And I know there's always a pivotal moment or something that on your own journey of self-discovery that inspired you to say, hey, I want to embark on this mission and get this out there. What was that?
Mine was kind of my track record was climbing the corporate ladder with Capital One, had climbed the way up to a site director. And we all know that culture has been this buzzword for a decade plus now. And there's so much more to it than just, again, typical slides, sleep pods, those type of things that people like to beer craft Fridays, those type of stuff. But in that journey of when we think about how much time we spend around work, and it really hit me. The average working professional spends somewhere between 50 and 75% of their waking hours at work, going to work, thinking about work, decompressing from work. And as I was able to take the helm and build a really high intentional culture where we had 86+% employee engagement, we had a thriving culture where we had a turnover rate. When I took over the site, we had a 33% turnover, and very industry average for our call center. I got it down to 6%. And the only people that were leaving us was good attrition, right? Some people just not meant for it, or people evolving into something else. And I saw the impact of what a positive culture can have on people's lives holistically. Well, as the nature of business goes, the site closed down, and I went to a different organization, and I saw the other side of it. I saw how people were leaving on those Fridays, and I saw in my own life that when you're just a number, it had to be something more than that. And as you look around, most individuals are probably more described as surviving or just existing versus really living. And when you step back and you look at the context of work, if you start working at 18, work to the retirement age for most people is 67, and lived at a national expectancy of 78, it's over 80% of our adult years working. And so you ask yourself, how is it that so many people find themselves on this hamster wheel without ever being able to get off, without ever truly thriving? How often do you ask people, how are you doing? And you hear people say, I'm thriving. And so that was a tipping point for me of like, there's a better way. I got to taste it. I got to develop it. I saw it was possible. And that was my journey of start launching my business, Think 3D, with my business partner. So there's a better way. We know, we've seen it. We saw it in microcosms with teams up to an entire site, and just knew that we had to invest into people differently, but also back to the individual. Right. So every organization culture is made up of individuals. And so how do we make the person better to help make the culture and the environment better, which makes our life better?
There you go. At Think 3D Solutions, right? You emphasize the importance of investing in the workplace, cultures, and teams. So how do you believe personal growth, self-awareness, how does that all contribute to personal success?
Really, it's funny that we haven't reached this point yet. And I get it, because you go back to like the 70s, right? When you really started to see that income separation of CEOs making way more than the frontline employee, right? And so profit started to become this driving factor. And we kind of forgot about the person, right? You can trace that back a few decades earlier when you had people, get the gold watch after working for an organization for a long time. It was kind of that promise that if you give us your life and your life's work, if you would, we'll take care of you. Well, something got lost in that transition, right? And one of the core sayings that Think 3D is a better you is better for everybody. And so back to the idea, a culture is an aggregate of all the individuals that make up an organization. And so the importance of investing into the person, the actual individual, we ask this question. Most leadership development out there is hidden under a guise of making you a better employee for the sake of the business. There's
Hmm.
nothing wrong with that. You want to return on that investment, right? You're going to invest time, money, energy. You want to return on that. But that doesn't necessarily make you a better person or better for your family, so on and so forth. Well, the inverse of that, we say, well, what if you took time out and made people better for them, for their families? Better humans make better organizations. And so a better you is better for everyone is a huge kind of transformational shift that we haven't quite got to all the way. And you look globally for a second, escapism is a 4 trillion with a T, $4 trillion a year industry. What's the number one thing that people escape from? Work. Sometimes it takes up that much time, right? And so is it too much to ask of an organization to invest into the well-being of the people that they're in? Like think about for a relationship with a significant other. You would never stay in a relationship with someone that care about you as an individual, cared about your well-being or your likes and dislikes, etc. And to make a marriage work long term, you have to have that mutual respect and mutual investment in that relationship. Well, the employer employee relationship is really the same. It's a mutual exchange. I'm going to exchange time for money. And along that way, we should have those same expectations about investing into the person, giving care and consideration to how somebody goes home, so then home can give care and consideration to how that person comes back. And so in this what we call a 21st century culture for people and organizations to be successful, there has to be at least a slice, a consideration of investing into the human being so they can go home better, healthier, happier, whole. We get it. Work's going to take up the vast majority of your time. That's part of the equation, especially in America, how we do things. Okay, cool. But then it's not too much to ask to say, how are you helping making sure that I go home with enough energy to play with my kids,
Right.
enough energy to be a good spouse and be there when my partner comes home from a bad day, right? And so
Right.
talk about this shift, investing into the individual, helping people gather self-awareness, because in today's world, left to our own devices, literally the average person spending 3.5 hours on this thing escaping because work's sending them home less than. So we have to look at this shift. That's a major part of what we do and why that's so important.
That's the way it's got to be, really, honestly. And your community leadership program has touched the lives of over 700 leaders, right? And so you got a core principle inside. Or what practices do you install in that program that nurtures an authentic leadership and sustainable success?
Really, you step back from this and you look at one of the major gaps we have in society is people's lack of self-confidence
Mm,
and self-worth, right?
mhm.
You trace that back if you really understand how most people didn't come from environments of being instilled with that you can do anything or set the example by their parents. I asked this key question for individuals in one of our trainings. How many of you, not that you don't love them or don't respect them, but how many would go back and live the same exact life that their parents lived? Job, marriage, vacations, happiness, the whole nine. Maybe 3 to 5% raise their hand, right? No way in hell I want to live the same life my parents did, which says we didn't have that example set for us. And so the community leadership, when you start to say, how do you make a better community? A better community, again, is an aggregate of the people and the businesses that make it up. And so self-confidence is one of the biggest things that we really instill in people, that self-worth, and giving them pathways how to do that. We simply argue, how do you build confidence? And people kind of think about it and like, are you confident in the job that you do? And people are like, yeah, okay. Were you that way day one? No. Well, how'd you get there? You put the work in. Well, what cause of why so many people lack self-confidence? If I said, how many hours a week or minutes a week even do you spend investing into you? Well, if you don't spend time working on you, you're not building self-confidence. And from that elevated standpoint of self-confidence, when you work on yourself and you know who you are, because in the absence of knowing who you are, we're living as inauthentic versions of ourselves. We try to do this and do that. But when people know who they are by design and by intention, and then you give them skills about how they can impact and influence the cultures that they work in their workplace and things they can do to invest into themselves and give them effective communication skills, you equip them. Our stuff is well beyond leadership development. It's truly life development. And so as you give them those skills and that pathway, now they have a platform to be able to step into the next better version of themselves. And when they can see that evidence base, now new things become possible and they start to dream and reach just a little bit bigger and they start to build that powerful word called momentum.
Nice, nice. Dream and reach for momentum. I like that. Sounds like a song.
It probably
Right.
is.
Probably write one for you. Yeah, this world is values the external measures of success, right? Your car, your house, your diamond ring, or whatever. So, how do you guide individuals to connect with their authentic self and define success on their own terms of the real value?
Beautiful question, Chris. I mean, it's
Thank you.
the real secret of success in life is only found through self-discovery. It's very clear. We have one of our sessions called Success Mindset. And actually, when I get done answering this, I'd love for you to weigh in too, because this is one of those that
Yeah.
in the work that you do, right? Again, you do such tremendous work helping people. Because if the finances isn't there, like, I mean, money isn't everything for sure.
Right.
But if the finances isn't there, you're going to have a whole lot of problems, right? So that has to be a major part of the equation. But I asked this question: how many people have a personal or custom definition of what success means to them? I don't care what room I'm in. I've been in rooms of six-figure earning doctors. I've been in manufacturing plants, the whole nine. We have client bases in probably 30 different industries. And in that question, maybe 5 to 10% of people have a personal or custom definition of what success means to them. So two things come out of that. One, if you don't have your own personal or custom definition of what success means to you, will you ever be successful?
Right.
And the answer is no. How can you? You can't hit a destination that's not defined.
Mm-hmm.
But then secondarily, when you don't have your own personal or custom definition of what success is to you, we often default to what the world says success is. And what does the world say success is? Money, power, fame. But yet we're not naive to really believe that that really by itself is true success. You can turn on TMZ or E! News tonight and you can see celebrities with money, power, and fame, and they have a higher than average drug usage and divorce rate, all these problems that come with it, because that by itself is not true success. Now, is money a part of the equation? For sure. You want to have the ability to live the lifestyle that you want to live. You want to know that you're going to leave something to your family, to not be at the end of your life and be like, oh my gosh, I can't do the services I need to accept it. So they kind of go hand in hand. But the big part of that of finding success is discovering it for yourself. And so the best definition of success I've ever heard is a worthy ideal pursued persistently with courage.
Mm.
Worthy ideal pursued persistently with courage. The best part about that is worthy ideal. You get to define what that is for you.
Mm-hmm.
Once everyone establishes what is my worthy ideal, now I can say, again, to pursue something says it's an acknowledgement. It's going to take some time. But if it's a worthy ideal, it doesn't matter how long it takes, right?
Right.
Persistence is overcoming the obstacles, and then you're going to have courage in that space. And so I would actually want to reverse that on you in what you see, because you help so many individuals find financial independence, and you help them find confidence. Like, if I don't have confidence in my financial future, that sweeps underneath them so much of their confidence. And so as you help individuals, again, so many people find success, what does that mean from your eyes about success in finding their pathway forward?
That's a great question. And, I mean, time is something, being 34 years in practice, and it shifted probably midway through when, after you get a certain success in the business itself, then it shifted into a give back. And as I took all of the wisdom I've been blessed with, it's helped over 6,000 people. And, I've actually saved lives, their energy, their money, and I don't know. I just lately, I've been getting feedback from people that is, to me, it's like $1 billion in the bank, because I take it with me wherever I go. When I have somebody say, "You saved my life," or thank you so much. The joy and the connection with the people is something that I take with me. The money, it's great. I can facilitate all of these things, but it could be gone like that, especially as things shift and they're changing the money thing. So then where does your real value lie? Just like when we first met and we connected, there was like a heart connection. That's my value, is making these heart connections. And it's very fulfilling. And even with most of my family already on the other side of, crossed over, it's kind of like, in one way, it could be very lonely here, but in another way, it's like creating a second family, and there's a responsibility to that. So, meaning that all the kids are mine. So I can't just, they're going to have a harder time than I have to get a house or have a life and all of that. So there's my give back where I can take what I've learned and help others. So that is my success, taking my success and helping others and the heart connections, right?
You hit on something that's so important there, Chris, and that's why again I'm so such a fan of the work that you do
Thank you.
because you hit on it of it's service to others, and that's why I tell people like if you whatever purpose is for you, if it's not tethered to helping others in some way, shape, or form, you're going to find yourself empty, and that's why you see it with
Right.
people with money, power, fame, etc. But if they're
Right.
not directly tethered to helping others, they find themselves empty. And so you said that's worth $1 billion, right? That
Right.
because that's priceless. That's a priceless feeling. And so as you
Right.
help people navigate, as I help people navigate even what success is for them and defining that, making sure that beyond their direct family, right? Because again, your kids matter, those type of things. But again, as you're seeing, right, and you get to help individuals and people say like, you saved my life. Like,
Right.
what's the price tag of that?
I know. I mean, you just melt on the spot, right? When
Oh,
with that connection, and that's eternal. Like nobody
yeah.
can touch that. I get to take that with me. I can carry it around with me. I don't have to worry about, losing it somewhere other
Yeah.
than the way that I'm thinking. Well, because I spent the first half of my life, connecting with God and spirit on the inside. That is really solid in me of the right value system. I flipped it around. I was chasing spirit before I was chasing money, you could say. But then
Mhm.
when I came with that mindset, then I came through with a balance. And obviously, I've created the Create Income Financial Literacy course. In a way, it's kind of a give back, kind of meaning, I mean, I'll make money from it. That's not the point, but I'm working retired, right? So I know that I have a special gift that if we all knew these quote secrets of the 1%, life would be a lot easier and it's not hard. So that's inspiring. That gets me up every morning to be able to help people. So value, success, boom, there it is right there.
I love
And
that.
right? And that's where we can all work together, right? We can all support each other because you have a piece I don't have and I have a piece you don't have, and us coming together, there's a synergy that multiplies really
Mhm.
fast. But if I stay in my little thing I'm possessive of it and I don't share it, and I give away a lot for free, but I know what goes around comes around, so it's kind of selfish, but it's
We're better in humanity, right? That's the
that's it.
commonality. You finding
Right.
those individuals of really being bought into bettering humanity. Like there's the
Yeah.
commonality. And that ripples.
Right.
Again, you change the life of that one individual. You may only hear them say you changed my life, but the other side of that is you may have changed them generationally. Now they're kids and those type of
Yeah.
things. Like that's
Exactly.
you'll never know directly, but that's the
Mhm.
invaluable stuff that really happens.
I have seen that in so many ways, and in the way that you may never even see as you move forward. There's somebody behind you because we are all connected, and so you're moving forward and courageous, as you said. There is a lot of courage because there's a lot of attack just to be in your own business or whatever it is. Takes a lot of courage and a lot of faith to overcome all the obstacles and mind, but the brain that tries to sabotage you, right? So
Yeah.
that does take courage.
Yeah.
And you mentioned like a better you, or it's just really being who you are, because I think people were created right spiritually. Nobody's living at their highest, and they should be like everybody should be Christ. They should be at the top of their game, right? But we're born all diminished and insecure, and so that's the journey of life to open that up and have people like you that elaborate on that growth they call personal growth or self discovery. And it's like you said, it's a ripple, and it impacts teams, organization, communities, whatever level. I see a lot of us kind of taking little pieces to a big pie that'll feed a lot of people, right?
Yeah, that's what I love about them in the community that we're in with Thought Council and those type of things. Is individual. There's again, you use the word synergy. There's a
Right.
synergy there. There's a synergy in the room because the reality is when we pause and you look at how many people in your sphere, friends, family, people you are encounter at the grocery store, how many, just by observation or what you know of, how many would you describe as thriving, living
Right.
versus just existing?
Yeah.
And most studies suggest, again, if you study energy, right? Again, energy is the universe is made of. 85% of the population, roughly in that realm, is below the average of all of humanity. So like they stay stuck in that. So it's understandable why when the average person has 60,000 thoughts a day, and those thoughts influence your emotions, and then those emotions impact your actions and habits, and then they stay stuck in this loop, they stay stuck in this pattern, right? And
Right.
so to truly break through of that, that's why actually I wrote a book, Elevate, wrote a book a year ago called Elevate, and it's elevate the way you think. It'll elevate your life, because the precursor, when people want to change their outcomes in life, they typically start with actions. Well, the precursor to your actions is your emotional standpoint in the moment. If you wanted to work out, but I don't go to the gym tomorrow, you didn't go to the gym because you didn't feel like it. Our feelings indicate so many of our emotions. Well, what's the precursor to your emotions? What are you thinking about? So the genesis to all these things, if we can help people start to dream bigger, think bigger, change their thought patterns, that thought pattern elevates their emotions. If you elevate their emotions, that's going to elevate their actions. And if you elevate their actions, it's going to elevate their outcomes. And so, cycle.
Yeah. Right. So you often say, better you is better for everyone, right? And share an example of how personal growth or self awareness has catalyzed a positive transformation within teams and organizations, ultimately leading to greater success and fulfillment.
Yeah, we think about that. So oftentimes, I don't care how big the organization is, we ask, make sure you're doing employee engagement surveys, right? And so let's say one of our clients is 2,000 person organization. And so when that organization does an employee engagement survey, who is the employee really surveying? The entire company
Hmm.
or their microculture? And it's
Right.
their microculture, because this is what we say, like, in this next generation, a lot of people are looking for titles, looking for position or money, and they think that's what it's going to be, right? When the reality is, I don't care how much you get paid, that financial deposit only gets put into your bank account every couple of weeks. Every single day you take home more than a paycheck. And it's that environment, again, if I said, hey, I want to pay you $20,000 more a year than you're getting paid right now, but the caveat is you're probably be a little bit more miserable.
Hmm.
Taking the money? Of course not. What's the money for? It's for happiness. It's for a better life. So again, why would you take the money if it's less miserable? And so how the transformation that we see in organizations, that's why we always really boil people down in this idea of what can you control? What can you influence? What happens is, and I use the example of a bottle of water all the time. If this bottle of water represented your energy, right? There's three buckets of things you can pour it into: what I'm concerned with, what I can control, and what I can influence. What can I control every day? Myself, my attitude, my energy, my effort. That's what I have 100% of control over every single day. What can I have influence over every single day? The world around me. Even if I'm a boss, I can't control my employees, but I can influence them. Right. And the reality is we're always influencing people one way or the other. And everything is always in motion, right? Everything's vibrating all the time. And that you had kind of said earlier, there's a spiritual side of all of us that's calling us to our higher potential. We all have more in us than we're actively engaging in. So that calling is there for every single person. And so one of my personal mantras in that is you teach through the clarity of your example.
Hmm.
Don't go to the training and tell people, hey, I learned this, and
Right.
try to give everyone, show me,
Yep.
live it out. And if you can start there, I always had a simple thing I ask people, I say, you can do some simple math here. I said, what if over the next, going back to service to others, what if I showed you a way that in 25 years from now, you could impact 16 million people? 16 million interested people are like, yeah, but yeah,
Right.
how does that happen? All right, basic. Again, anyone can do this.
Hmm.
If I said, if you wanted to, with intentionality, could you positively influence one person this next year? Pour into that one person, that coworker. Find that coworker every day. You're in there. You're helping build the mindset. You're trying to get into where you're at. Just one person. Could you do that? Yes. Okay. So you do that for a whole year. Now you become two. You both say, all right, year two. Let's all both go find one individual and go impact that person. Two becomes four. Do the math. If you double that 25 years out, that's over 16 million people. And all you did was individually impact 25 people. And
Yeah.
so that you teach through the clarity of your example, the examples that we see with organizations. I'll give you one in particular. So we have one of our clients is has an ESOP, right? Employee stock option plan, right? So they're the owners of it. And in the work with this organization, in the second year working with them, they were getting results similar to year 5 and 6 with this ESOP, just because it transformed well beyond the money. Because the people know that, okay, now I'm an owner, but that's so far in the distance, that's not motivating in the moment. When they realized my action, I have some control over this, I have a lot of influence over this. And when people boil that back down to what is one or two things that you can control, you're willing to commit to over the next 365 days, that's a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
And when they make that commitment, and this organization did, you had, and it wasn't everybody, right? And I'm an optimist, but also a realistic optimist. You're never going to get everybody,
Right.
but if you can get the majority and start to show the example, and now you have people start again. Now, who are they attracting? They're attracting the right people that want to come work in this organization, want to contribute, not to making the company better by itself, but to having a better life. And that's what we push against this work-life balance. It's more like work-life integration. Because when you have a good or bad day at home, it carries over to work. And when you have a good or bad day at work, it carries over into home. And it starts with the individual commitment. An organization is an aggregate of all the individuals that make it up. And so as you start to get those examples, you start to get those few that start to, in their micro pockets, start to really buy into this stuff. They start to say, how do we make this culture a little bit better? What can I do? What can I commit to as an individual to be the next best version of myself? And now that ripple effect starts to happen. You start to see that change. We had we worked with the school district here in South Dakota. In 1 year, we saw a 10% increase in 1 year in employee engagement. That's like 10%.
Yeah.
This is the school system, right? There are schools
Right.
nowadays really tough.
Yeah.
But they're at a point, they were kind of at a breaking point,
Mm-hmm.
and they said, what do we have to lose? And most of them went all in, and that ripple effect happened. And so again, when you commit down to, well, what can I do?
Right.
What are you willing to do? And if you're willing, and that's what I tell people, say, when we work with organizations and I get in front of individuals, I challenge them, this next hour, these next 2 hours that I'm in front of you, I'm going to challenge you to be selfish. Don't do this for company X. Do this for you, your family, for those that you love. And when you do that, right, and your home becomes better, and you do it for those reasons, which is why you say you work and all those type of things, what happens to your organization? It's
Right.
going to get better when people get better. So that's example after example. When you get the right leadership who is bought in, you get the right enough, and the majority of the individuals willing to commit and at least try it and just show me it doesn't work. Every time when people work it, it works.
Right. Right. Like that. The ripple effect too. Move that all around the world. Tamien, it's been fun talking to you, and tell everybody how they can get in contact with you.
Yeah, best way. So Tamien, Tamien Dysart, Dysart, unique. So all the socials. Let's think3d.com is the website. Again, we work with individuals, organizations to help improve the world, one conversation at a time, one training at a time, one commitment at a time.
That's great. And make sure, beware, I guess you got an app coming out that in a few months or something too, right?
Yes, Elevate You. It's going to be a game changer. Again, if you could have a personal coach in your pocket, that's basically what it is. More self-discovery, self-development that most people go through in their lives. And so it's going to be impactful, helping individuals become better, as well as building positive communities within the app as well. So a momentum is about to happen majorly with this app.
Nice. All right. Well, you'll keep us aware, and it's been an honor and privilege to have you with us today.
Thank you, Chris.
As we conclude our journey today, remember that building success begins with cultivating a better you. I want to extend my deepest gratitude to Tamien for sharing his wisdom and insights with us today. Let's carry forward the torch of self-discovery, knowing that by investing in ourselves, we not only unlock our true potential, but also inspire others to do the same. Join us next time on Money 911 as we continue to explore the intersection of prosperity and purpose. Until then, this is Chris Miller signing off. Keep shining, keep growing, and keep building your path to success. There's so much to learn about healthy money. I hope today's discussion brings you one step closer to securing and protecting your future. So you can get started on the right foot, go to meetwithchrismiller.com and schedule your free financial fitness strategy session. Thank you for listening, and please subscribe to Money 911 so you don't miss our next episode, which includes health, wealth, and peace of mind.
The power of purpose. Doing well by doing good. The power of purpose. Doing well by doing good. The power